Hello and welcome to The Wrap, thanks to Coates. I'm Laura Spurway. I'm here with Kate McCarthy. And Kate, week one of finals done and we have had some cracking games.
We certainly have. It's been a great start to finals. Obviously, some teams getting the job done quite easily, others being really pushed. But if we have a look at the results, which is what everyone wants to get to, all the way back on Friday night, North Melbourne continuing their dominance. Carlton, they really hit the scoreboard in a big way in some trying conditions, Laura, on Saturday afternoon, and then two absolute crackers to round out your Sunday, which means the finals to come then for next weekend look a little bit like this. And we have, obviously, Brisbane through to their sixth, if you can believe it, straight prelim. Insane. So they go straight through. North, their fourth straight, but all eyes will be at Icon Park on Saturday afternoon. Melbourne taking on Adelaide and Hawthorn taking on Carlton. So the doubleheader, the afternoon into the evening games at Icon Park.
And Hawthorn, they've got the home game, but it's at Icon Park.
Yeah, that might be a little bit confusing for some people. Obviously, Hawthorn will host the Blues, if you can host the Blues at a stadium with their logo on it at that ground. But you do feel like the sentiments from Dan Webster and the like from Hawthorn throughout the season say that they'd probably rather play this game at Icon Park, a stadium not wind exposed, which will provide probably a little bit more shelter from the elements, although that didn't happen on Saturday afternoon, but nothing could have protected us from the rain on Saturday afternoon.
It was ugly, and we will get to that. But let's start at Icon Park, where Brisbane, they were far more accurate this week than they've been in past weeks. They got the job done over the Dees, the first time that Brisbane has beaten Melbourne in a final.
Yeah, it was huge. It was I think Craig Starcevich referred to it in his post-match presser. It was nice to get the monkey off the back, because when you have two games against a side in finals and you can't seem to get the job done, by the third one, you're sort of thinking, do we need to get this out of the way? And they were very well performed on Sunday morning or afternoon, early afternoon, the Brisbane Lions. I think they really showed their depth in this game. That they did in the fixture in round 11 as well, but a lot of players standing up when they needed to. Ellie Hampson, two really important goals throughout the game, and I think we just see their full depth on display now.
7 behinds for Melbourne though, and we feel they missed a few of their chances, and this is what leads us to this week's Educate.
Mick Stinier spoke about post-match how you need to play full 80 minutes, especially against the side that they were coming up against, the Brisbane Lions, and of course the number one contender for this competition in North Melbourne. So I just wanted to show a few of those moments where I feel like they missed some opportunities to really hurt Brisbane on the scoreboard. This one here, Brisbane still yet to score a goal. A good contest, an inside 50, and Wotherspoon just has to give the handball there to Alyssa Bannon, who's essentially running into an open goal. Plenty of players running into an open goal are hard to stop. Alyssa Bannon is number one on the top of that list. This one here, it's all about being predictable to your teammates. So when you're inside defensive 50, you want to roll boundary side. You want to take it to the least dangerous spot. Shelley Heath just gets herself into a little bit of trouble. Yes, there's a player there, but when you miss a handball in the corridor, it just opens up that opportunity, and Charlotte Mullins far too good. The best player on the ground, just outside our player of the round, had to be Kate Hoare. She's at the top of 50 there, all on her own. Could have done anything in that scenario. Instead, Mackin kicks it long to the Brisbane numbers. So 3 little instances. I'm not saying that could completely turn around the game, but if you're putting the team under pressure, scoreboard pressure, Brisbane Lions, you need to be doing that to them. So just a few little missed opportunities that they want to tidy up for the game next week against the Adelaide Crows.
Well, we couldn't go past a Brisbane veteran for our Coates player of the round, and it's Ali Anderson.
She was absolutely everywhere, and I think one of the reasons she had the 28 disposals, the 4 tackles and the 2 goals was pure work rate from Ali Anderson on Sunday. She was absolutely everywhere. She worked so hard contest to contest. It was the inside mids that essentially got on top for the Lions, and her ability to work from inside to out, to deliver the ball to her forwards, win clearance. The first goal, a little bit fluky. Well, it was from work rate, but the second one was just a beautiful finish in front of the big stick. So Ali Anderson, the player of the weekend for mine, she was everywhere, and it was all down to her work rate.
And a big talking point from this game we want to get to now was Eden Zanker ruled out with concussion after initially passing a SCAT test, and this was Dees coach Mick Stinier after the game.
At this stage, we were just confirming before, but Edo's in concussion protocol, so it was ruled out of the game. She'll enter that protocol now. Seems to be doing okay, which is the number one thing. But yeah, disappointing to lose a key member of the team for a large part of the game.
So, Kate, massive loss this afternoon, but also a massive loss for next week now.
Yeah, and they lost her so early, and I think we got to see on display how much of a loss she is to this Melbourne outfit. So 22 goals for the season she's kicked, but it's what she offers them deep in the forward line. So Taylor Harris has played a really nice role for Melbourne this season. She's gotten up nice and high, but then in this afternoon's game, it was who do you kick to as a key marking forward? They have other tools down there, but not tools that can really take those one-on-ones in the air and take strong marks inside forward 50. So Lauren Pearce actually got shifted into the forward line late in the fourth quarter to try and negate that loss, but she's going to be a big loss. Yes, they have a week to sort of plan for it now, which is different to losing a player in-game, but a massive loss for the Melbourne Demons is Eden Zanker.
Yeah, really big one. Now, you mentioned Kate Hoare already. I mean, she had a great game. She had a target on her back, but she got her milestone goal.
She certainly did, and I was a little bit flat around the lack of celebration from Melbourne, but in the game it just showed to me, yes, they knew she'd gotten the milestone, but they had bigger things to play at on the weekend, and that was trying to win this game. So Kate Hoare, hats off to her, the second player only in the AFLW to now reach 100 goals, and for me, absolutely fitting that she was the second to do it. She's one of the best players in the competition, and she showed that this afternoon. She had 31 disposals, 8 clearances, and a goal. She had Kathy Spark from quarter 2 onwards following her around so closely, but still made such an impact on the game. So Kate Hoare, enjoy the 100 goals, and I hope that there's plenty more to come.
And they'll need her next week, won't they? I'm sure she'll stand up again. She hasn't disappointed us all year. If we head to Norwood Oval now, geez, what a result for the Adelaide Crows. Comprehensive win in the end over St Kilda by 44 points.
It was pretty comprehensive. And I think last week we sort of touched on the injuries starting to take their toll for St Kilda. And I think Adelaide, they had a little bit of a preview into finals. Zoe Prowse was shifted forward and made a real impact as well up forward. Indy Rashid in her first final showed some beautiful foot skills to finish off that one, but it was pretty dominant from the Crows. Yes, they had a little bit of a preview to finals last week in that must-win game against Fremantle, but they are just a formidable force when it comes to finals. And Doc Clark, he keeps his career alive, another week to go for him. So it was great that they could get the win for his sake. Obviously, that does end St Kilda's season, but Adelaide continue to march on.
And it also marked the return of Chelsea Randall, who, and I had to check this because I couldn't believe it had been her first game since round 5.
Yeah, she's missed 7 games with that concussion. So first of all, it's great to see Chelsea Randall back out there playing football, but she doesn't just play football. She goes out on fields and just makes her mark, and that's exactly what she did. She had 7 intercept possessions, 5 intercept marks, and I think just what she offers to Doc Clark, she can play across all 3 lines. She can play as an inside mid, she can play defensively as she did today, and she can also play up forward and kick goals. Where she'll play next week, we don't know, but if she plays defensive post like she did this afternoon, she's going to be a force in that final against Melbourne.
So just quickly, it is the end of St Kilda's season. How did you see it, and what should be on their wish list for next year?
Oh, I mean, obviously you have to praise St Kilda, their first ever finals campaign in the history of their AFLW side. So that's huge. A huge tick for T. Smith, for Serene Watson, for Georgia Patrikios. Obviously a massive injury list that we've touched on. So for them to get to finals is a huge achievement. I know they won't be happy with just making finals. They'll obviously want to then win finals from then on. But for me, their wish list in the off-season has to be another key forward alongside Jessie Wardlaw. We spoke about Zoe Prowse being flipped forward. I feel like if St Kilda have a second marking target, first of all, they can't flip a player forward like that, but they just don't have another player to go to. If Jessie Wardlaw's taking the ball up high, who does she kick it to? I think a key forward is something that they need to really recruit hard for next season.
List managers take note. Now, if we get to your box office Blues, because second week in a row, they've beaten the Eagles in absolutely terrible weather.
Yeah, well, the Flaggers were still able to set things alight in the wet. I mean, they fared a little bit better than the poor West Coast banner. Erin Fitzpatrick continues her dominance, a couple of goals in her first final, and they were just clean. They were dominant in that second term. They were able to kick 6 goals to zip, which really set up the game. Sophie McKay, who we'll get to, the future is so bright at the Blues. Poppy Scholes kicking a long-range goal here, but they were dominant. They really were. Was nothing but impressed. I love the way they play their football. I'm so excited to see them take on Hawthorn next week. And yeah, my Flaggers, they keep on keeping on.
Yeah, they do. And you mentioned Sophie McKay. She has been one of my favourite players to watch this season. What a debut season. And also the Sellies.
She was everywhere on Saturday afternoon, and in a game that was pretty tough, she just made the most, had 19 disposals, 5 score involvements, 2 goals. You just see from those 2 first clips how good she is at snapping the footy. Now we're going to see her really thread the needle with a check side as well, and then a celly to match. So we'll see the replay of that one because we need to isolate it in its entirety. But another snap here, so she's just so clinical with her foot use. And yeah, as you said, loves the celly. This one here goes for the fake hammy into the stanky legs. So Kate, we love it. Keep it up. We love you. We love watching you play your football. And when you're up and about, your team is up and about. So keep on keeping on, Soph McKay.
The Blues might be a little bit nervy, though, about Maddie Gearin, who might get a look in from the MRO.
I think this will definitely be looked at. I think obviously saved in the fact that Britain took part in the rest of the game, but it's a clumsy approach to a contest. On the replay, you can't quite see if she gets a shove from Bella Lewis. That might work in her favour, but you think that will be looked at during the week. So it might be a little bit of a nervous week for Maddie Gearin.
And just a moving moment in this game that we didn't want to go past is when Mia Austin kicked a goal in terrible weather, obviously slotted it, and then after the celebration looks to the sky. It was a tribute to her late cousin Ben, who tragically lost his life in a cricketing accident. And you can see there the teammates get around her, the emotion on her face. And that's just the spirit of sport that we absolutely love to see. She had his name around her wrist as well on the tape, and so we want to commend the Blues for what they've done, and also our thoughts go out to the Austin family. We're still thinking of you. Now, we do want to talk about West Coast because, Kate, we've been looking at their youth all season as well, and once again, some of their young stars on display.
Yeah, well, I mean, the future is so bright for both of these teams, and I think this game was a real display of the future of the AFLW. And when we talk about the future of the AFLW, how dare you not mention Ella Roberts, because she is the future of this competition. She's the now of this competition as well. But just watch some of these highlights. Like, we've shown you and spoke about how dour the conditions were at Icon Park. You could be mistaken that Ella Roberts is playing in a dry game of football here. We could have played another minute 30 of highlights. She had 30 disposals, 12 tackles and a goal, but it was her cleanliness with ball in hand, her ability to pick up a clean ground ball and then get the ball forward. She is just someone, she can do the in and under work, the tough work, laying 12 tackles, but then she has the silky smooth finishes as well. So I know it was her first final and she would have been disappointed with the outcome, but I dare say Ella Roberts and the West Coast Eagles will be playing plenty more finals in the future of this competition.
Yep, the love affair for Ella Roberts on the wrap continues, doesn't it?
Well, both mine and Sarah's favourite players, they shone bright. Kate Hoare, Ella Roberts, we've been backing them in all year and they've not let us down once.
No, they really haven't. Now, if we go to North Melbourne, who hasn't let anyone down all year because they've made it 25 in a row, absolute brick walls in defence, kept the Hawks goalless.
Yeah, they did. It was a huge display, and shout out to the Hawks banner that's getting a bit of attention online.
Isn't it?
I think it's a finish line banner, isn't it? More so than a football banner. I think their cheer squad will get their act together for next week though, but yeah, it was dominance from the Roos. Bella Eddy, doesn't she continue to pop up and kick crucial goals at crucial times for the Roos? Probably not the best display of football we've seen from North, but it was a final. It was a hot final. Both teams brought the pressure. To Hawks' credit, they competed with them as long as they could, but I'm not sure there's a team that can go with them for 4 quarters, which is a sentiment we've probably held all season.
And if we look at their defensive work, Libby Birch had a day out. And I know that you mentioned her game last week. Well, turned things around a bit this week.
Yeah, she was phenomenal. So probably had a game that she would have liked to forget last week, but that's what Libby Birch does. She reviews games, she comes out, and then she has games where she's potentially one of the best players on the ground. Jazz Ferguson, she was playing like a woman's possessed. She is made for finals football. And another player that's made for any kind of football at the moment is Erica O'Shea. She was huge. 24 disposals, 11 of those were contested, 545 metres gained for Erica O'Shea, who just keeps going from strength to strength this season. And I feel like that's the beauty of North Melbourne. Every time we've probably reviewed one of their games, we've sat here and been able to speak about 3 different players that we probably haven't mentioned the week before. And that's their depth. That's their depth on full display. Every player continues to contribute. And obviously keeping the Hawks goalless, just a massive tick in their finals campaign again, especially their defensive stocks for the Roos.
I want to ask you about the Hawks scoring because 3 points is the lowest score in an AFLW final. And we've seen a bit of a pattern with them this season in terms of their scores against the top sides.
Yeah, they have found, obviously, I think the big talk around the Hawks is that it's Anya McDonough or bust.
Yep.
And she has a little bit of an injury cloud coming up against her opponents for this week, which is a question mark. But just some of their scoring. So the average of 29.6 points against teams in the top 8 this season. Obviously, the 40 points against St Kilda is far more healthy than that. But yeah, 18 against North Melbourne in the home and away fixture, and then just kept to 3 points in the game on Friday night. And for me, if we look at the scores from every other team that won this week, so North with the 42 points, the Blues kicked 60, the Lions kicked 56, and the Crows kicked 60 themselves. I don't see 29 points being enough to compete with the rest of the teams left in this competition. So they need to find an avenue to goal, and they need to find one quickly before next week's game.
Yep, and they've got Carlton next week, as we've spoken about, and they managed to find the sticks all right, didn't they, in very bad weather. Let's take a look again at the finals matchup for the semis, and here they are.
Yeah, huge matches, obviously, do or die from this point out. Melbourne taking on Adelaide. I think Melbourne probably a little bit superior, but Adelaide, they are a force to be reckoned with in finals. And Hawthorn Carlton, that is going to be an absolute cracker. Obviously, the talk this week is whose home game is it? Because it's Carlton's home ground, but I think there is plenty more in store for the AFLW. It's going to be a massive weekend of finals, and I cannot wait.
I can't wait either. I mean, we'll be back for the semi-finals action. I know you've got your eye over everything. Everyone, please join us. Hope you've enjoyed the wrap this week. We'll be back for more semi-final weekend.